Hi everyone, my name is Natalie and this is my Psych 322 intervention project focused on stress reduction at UH Hilo with a tripartite intervention approach. So the issue is stress on college campuses. Nearly 50% of students on any given campus nationwide have reported or received counseling on the basis of stress-related problems. At one point or another, most college students have been subject to stress caused by an array of new challenges and lifestyle shifts. Whether it's facing rigorous coursework unlike that of high school, or dealing with being away from home for the first time, most students can relate to what it feels like to be stressed. While short-lived stressors occur for most students, like preparing for a big exam or presentation, there are some instances where students become so inhibited and overwhelmed by stressors on campus that it prevents them from engaging on a social level. Social experiences are an integral part of being in college and prove to be highly beneficial for overall mental health. UH Hilo is no exception to this statistic, and I believe it requires the attention to create empathy by others and awareness to those affected through stress. It is important to recognize that individuals respond to stress differently. Typically in stressful situations, individuals respond with the survival mechanism of either fight or flight. Despite intended for life or death situations, we can oftentimes overreact to stressors that are not necessarily life-threatening. And so in response, we see changes physically and psychologically to our health, and this also in turn becomes noticeable in lack of social involvement, poor academic performance, and even lack of sleep. In order to address how stress inhibits social interactions and experiences here at UH Hilo, the three-part intervention is going to include identification, accessible resources, and development of community. Part 1, identification. So each campus faces different challenges when it comes to how and why stress is affecting their students. Research also reflects that there are low levels of self-reporting and seeking for help on college campuses, which creates challenges in really knowing why and how stress is impacting our academic community by simply just looking at school statistics. The main component contributing to these differences are social dynamics within the campus makeup. So this can include population size, location, ethnic diversity, resource availability, overall campus culture, and many other factors that vary across university campuses. But these are all important steps to look at to determine how these aspects are affecting students' mental health. The purpose of this first part is to better understand how to provide services and approach students' stress-related problems specific to our campus. To ensure that we have students that both identify with experiencing stress and those that don't, we'll predetermine that, and then we'll choose from a total of 200 students to actively monitor their daily activities and location for a 2-week time period, and this is going to be during the mid-semester point. There will be 5 groups of 40 students each. The grouping will include 40 traditional freshmen, 40 traditional sophomores, 40 traditional juniors, 40 traditional seniors, and lastly, 40 non-traditional students from a range of class standings. So the development of an integrative GPS app will be utilized along with self-reported logs of daily activities, including class attendance and involvement in any on-campus social outing, basically. It's expected that the results of this study will reflect patterns of social isolation and even retraction from participating in essential and non-essential activities. So essential being classes and non-essential being clubs, organizations, or any event that's put on for students located on the campus. It's hypothesized that those that are experiencing stress might attend class less, and others even spend more time in their dorm rooms for a longer period of time. So depending on the results of this study, it'll determine how we can further mold the intervention and approach these stress-related issues on our campus. The second part of the intervention will focus on making counseling and educational resources more accessible to students. This will require the implementation of a fixed room in the current lava landing location before the 2-week intervention takes place. So in comparison to counseling services, which is currently located on the second floor Student Services Center, The new room will be called the relaxation station, and it'll be more ideal as it is in a central location, campus center plaza. The area tends to see higher foot traffic of students each day, which will increase the probability of drop-ins. If students aren't otherwise seeking counseling services in their current location, they're likely to not simply drop in when they're on campus. Although counseling services could remain in the Student Services Center, they would still be the department that provides services at this new location. Within this new room, now called Relaxation Station, there will be a redesigning of the area to create a welcoming, judgment-free, and overall relaxing zone for students. The resources available would be focused on stress reduction and even more so identify each individual's sources of stress, as, like I mentioned, it's not the same for each person. So different areas of stress induction could include elements of a lifestyle change, such as balancing work, academics, and personal and social lives. And so different workshops that become available and are facilitated by counselors will help students to learn how to manage and also detox from things that might be stressing them that are related to school. Counselors that are located in this area and helping with the workshops, they're not necessarily there to babysit the students that use the facility, but they are there to be used as a resource and also to check students into the station. And just as a side note, I just wanted to mention we do have 3,406 students currently enrolled at UH Hilo's campus, and we also have 3 counselors that are available through counseling services. So to put it into perspective, we have about 1,135 students to each counselor. Their role as a counselor is also to help students further understand their sources of stress and how it's affecting them on a psychological basis. And so this will be done by taking into account specific details that the student provides, and also other details like their gender, race, or age, for example, to see what might be indicators of their stress. As a general goal, we're trying to allow students to figure out what within themselves is maybe inducing these stressful situations and how they respond to them. So also this room is going to have new features. It is called the relaxation station. So we'll have massage recliners, aromatherapy couches, and these will aim to relax the body as well as the mind. For the intervention, the room will be clearly advertised and appropriate signage will be posted to attract passing by students to the relaxation station room. To avoid unreliable results, the signs are not going to lead to the fact that this is a new addition to campus, but rather simply advertise resources available in an eye-catching manner. This is intended to avoid having a high turnout during the intervention's 2-week time frame simply because of it being a new opportunity and appealing to students. However, there will still be flyers posted throughout classroom buildings, and stand-up signs outside of the relaxation station will also be posted as well. So the overall new appearance of the area will likely attract attention of students, but we just don't want an unrealistic result from this intervention by making it like such a new and exciting event. We don't really want it to be an event, we just want it to be incorporated into the campus. So if allotted more time, it could be beneficial and accurate to have a period where the program could have like an opening day or more exposure of the new opportunity on campus. This could just see how student turnout eventually tapers off from this initial point. But like I said, given the 2-week time frame, we would just take that initial approach. A partnership with the UH Hilo Outdoor Adventure Office would also need to be implemented for this intervention. The Outdoor Adventure Office, which is currently located in the Student Life Center on campus, it's a really unique opportunity and feature of our campus that offers students to visit areas of the island that they might not otherwise have the opportunity to see if it isn't for having a certain type of vehicle or someone showing you exactly where the location is. Also, it's a huge opportunity to meet other students, which is vital for interpersonal relationships to develop. And of course, that's our aim of this intervention, is to promote social interaction and involvement on campus. So the intention would be to see if the exposure to the various elements of the relaxation station will prompt more interest in social activities as their stress levels will be reduced. So we want to reduce stress in this area, and we want to see if that influences how many students are interested in getting involved in the outdoor adventure signups and field trips. This step of the intervention is intended to be not as direct and more of a passive approach to having students seek help rather than it being forced upon them. And for this, we're going to be measuring the effectiveness by how many students sign up for the outdoor adventure field trips through this program in comparison to how many students typically sign up for the outdoor adventure office field trips at the Student Life Center location. And a second, more generalized measurement of the effectiveness for this area would be comparing the amount of walk-in appointments we receive here at the relaxation station in comparison to those counseling services gets at the SSC. The final component of the intervention would be development of community. And typically, integration for college culture and a community base is oftentimes created through the development of an on-campus program or different resources that are available. However, I think it's also beneficial to approach mental health concerns through a more familiar outlet that's pretty common nowadays, social media. So with the relaxation station in place, this allows students to reach out in an open setting, but some people, they may not feel inclined or comfortable enough to do so. And additionally, it's important to note that we do have a lot of non-traditional students and students that may be taking all online classes. So to develop a community and keep everyone involved, I think this is a really important part of the intervention. This portion, a Facebook group will be created that allows students to become active members of an online forum with the option to remain anonymous. Many studies show that self-disclosure, or the talking cure, tends to be a therapeutic method to discussing problems and relevant issues amongst other college students. Self-disclosure typically includes expression or sharing of personal information to others as a release, and in this case it would be through an online forum which allows people to talk through problems virtually, and as I said, some might feel more comfortable doing so. For this part of the intervention, we'll start with having an invitation to join. Each year when new freshman applicants are accepted into UH, they're sent invitations via mail and email to join a general Facebook group for their graduating class, and for this reason we'll use the same tactics to gain involvement for this support group. Also, at freshman and transfer orientations, the group will largely be promoted as an opportunity for student support, and we'll be awarding prizes for joining on the spot. And this will be proved by simply showing a screenshot that they joined the group right then and there. Even if the student's intention to join the group is motivated by the incentive or the prize, it is a good opportunity to still be available on their social media feed and can potentially increase the likelihood of them using the group in the future. So this utilizes the foot in the door technique by aiming to first join and can lead to students eventually using the group for its intended purpose. Only registered students will be present in the group, and it will be monitored closely to ensure the guidelines and standards of the university are upheld. To measure the effectiveness of this portion of the intervention, we're going to be looking at any increase of resource use, campus club involvement, and overall retention rates. So partly within the 2-week period, but the retention portion would be beyond that. And over this period of time, we're primarily looking for meaningful interaction amongst students, and it can be measured by substantial comments and posts made by group members. In the long term, high rates of retention are signs of the presence of interpersonal relations among student groups. In accordance with social psychology, the intervention should appeal directly to proponents of attitude and persuasion. The way in which the signage and flyers are going to be designed, it's to ideally gain trust between the students and the service, and we want them to know exactly what's going to be offered through the relaxation station. So it'll be conveyed in a more direct and trustworthy message to the students in a way that feels less forceful but more opportunistic. As for balance theory, students tend to have an inclination to improve their psychological imbalance, and they strive to have balance amongst their worldviews. So if they feel that stress is inhibiting this, then they'll feel compelled to attend and follow directives of the counselors at the relaxation station. Lastly, for the Facebook support group, we'll see that interpersonal relationships will begin to develop, and there will be a larger network for social support, more specifically emotional support, which is of course beneficial for mental health and reducing stressors. Which is such an important time to develop socially and create connections, and this tripartite intervention of identification, advancing resource availability, and developing a community is ideal in addressing the issue. Thank you for watching.